Which, yeah, you're probably thinking, Fromark, you already did a playthrough of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, what the hell are you doing? Well, you see, I didn't do a playthrough as Knuckles. As you see my save file from the Sonic and Tails run I did, I didn't do a Knuckles playthrough, and the reason that is pivotal? Anyways, the reason that is important to this playthrough is because Knuckles has a different playthrough style in this game, and has a different story in this game, as I believe it takes place a few months after the Sonic and Tails run of this. Which kind of seems fitting, since Sonic and Knuckles came out a few months after Sonic 3, allowing the two games to become one super game. But yeah, nothing I haven't already said before, but I really like Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I'm glad I get a chance to come back to it. And of course, I feel like I'm better at this game as Knuckles than I am as Sonic and Tails. Which I guess maybe I should come back to this game a third time in order to do a Tails run, because, I mean, there is Super Tails, which only shows up after you get all the Super Emeralds, but I don't know, I mean, it might be worth it. And Tails is my favorite Sonic character, after all. But this time around, we're gonna just keep things rolling along with Knuckles, see what Knux has got cooking. And what Knux has got cooking is, oh, I gotta continue. I don't usually go out of my way to get those. Of course, once again, dealing with the Blue Sphere Special Stage. So the Blue Sphere Special Stage isn't really that big of a deal, really. I don't mind them. I prefer the half-pipe special stages from Sonic 2 just a little bit more, though. And it took me a while to get good at doing these again, because I got myself spoiled on the Sonic Jam version, where the special stages don't speed up on you, making it more difficult. And I think there's an option for you to do that, but I don't know. I got most of my practice of this game in Sonic Jam, as I finally acquired a copy of Sonic Jam, if I hadn't already mentioned that on the channel, as that was one of the more elusive Sega Saturn games that I had been missing out on for years. I guess I hadn't really been missing out on a whole lot, but I do have a Sega Saturn collection, and I wanted to get one of the more definitive games for the system. Even if it is a compilation, it is the first compilation of Sonic games. I feel like it's the only one where Sonic Team really put a lot of time and care into the game itself. I mean, while it is Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, they went back and did a few things here and there, polished some stuff up, gave you difficulty changing options in the game, and just makes for an overall more enjoyable play experience. As well as the ring sound effects aren't muddled between the sound channels of the Sega Genesis hardware, because they just, the sound effects sound so much more crisp in Sonic Jam. And then of course Sonic Jam has the 3D Sonic World, which is awesome. And maybe I'll show that off in a playthrough one of these days. I'd have to figure out how to get Sega Saturn hardware to run on my computer, more than likely, but or eventually maybe I could invest in one of those $600 upscalers that I really want for my Saturn. I mean, I've already put a lot of money into the system already, and Sonic Jam isn't even the most expensive game I own on the system. But the Sega Saturn is definitely, I would still say it's my second favorite console, only behind Super Nintendo. And of course, I think nostalgia bias plays a huge factor into that, because I grew up with the Super Nintendo. Sega Saturn, I didn't get my first Sega Saturn until right before I graduated high school. But it looks like I got enough rings to get another continue. Not that the continues really matter, as I don't really die a lot in this playthrough. And I will go ahead and I got the nice number. Got the nice rings. And I got the second Chaos Emerald, so keep things moving along in this Angel Island. Yeah, there's that second continue. now the music changes over to the Act 2 music. Which I'm not really sure which theme I like more from Angel Island. It's kind of tough. I mean, Act 1's more iconic, Act 1's pretty catchy, but Act 2's really good. I think I'm going to say Act 2 on this one. Of course, now that I can go back and do this Knuckles run, there's a lot of things that have improved on the Fromark Plays show since that last playthrough of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, as I figured out how to finally change the freaking aspect ratio of my videos. I don't know why that took me a while to figure out, and I wish that I would have figured that out a lot sooner, but I'll keep those playthroughs up on the channel anyway. Maybe I'll go back and revisit some of those games in the future. But yeah, Sonic 3 Knuckles was one of those games where the video isn't cropped or in proper aspect ratio. It's all stretched out. As I think there are a handful of my playthroughs that are kind of like that. It's mostly just the early stuff. It's like Super Mario 1, 2, Donkey Kong Country, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and I think that's it. There might be a couple of half-hour commentaries like that. Oh, and Super Adventure Island. Like I said, it's just because I didn't really know what I was doing when I got the capture software, and you have to excuse me, folks. This is kind of a learning process. I hope my content continues to get better on this channel as time goes on, though. But it's hard to tell with me because, and I just kind of wing it all. Just slide through the tube there. I gotta wait for that platform to come back around. Yeah, things moving along pretty smooth here in Angel Island. But yeah, I wasn't really happy with not only how long it took me to get through Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and the aspect ratio. I don't know, it's just, I feel like a lot of people feel like that with their early YouTube videos. They don't really feel like they capture the essence of the channel. But then some people, I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna leave everything on the channel at this point unless it ever gets taken down, just to preserve everything. And for continuity's sake. Anyways, here we got Knuckles getting through Act 2 of Angel Island. And that's gonna take us to Hydrocity, which sounds fine and good to me. Which I believe will pretty much finish off Part 1. Actually, the Knuckles playthrough ended up being almost as long as the Sonic playthrough by the time it was all recorded. Maybe it's a little less lengthy, but I mean, there are a lot of shortcuts that Knuckles can take in each level that Sonic can't. But there are also plenty of opportunities to get stuck, confused, lost, killed. Just plenty of not good stuff. But plenty of good stuff as well. Bonk. Ooh, lose that freaking electric shield as soon as I get it. Now I'm not really worried about extra lives. As you seen, I moved past that live monitor way back. But I got myself an extra life right here, so that's cool. Oh. That was some close maneuverability. Now, Hydrocity's pretty cool, and for the longest time, and even to this day, I'm still a little bit confused on whether it's Hydrocity or Hydrocity. I feel like this should have been cleared up a long time ago, but maybe it's Hydrocity? I mean, there's no space between the Hydro and the city part. But some people will argue Hydrocity. I've always kind of argued Hydrocity. Actually, I take that back. Whenever I was younger, I thought maybe it was Hydrocity. Just based off of the spelling, but I don't know. Has it been confirmed at this point? What has been confirmed is that I've reached the 3rd special stage. So I'll grab these blue sphere and make my way on through here. Hey, that rhymed. Keeping things rhyming all the time and over here. Making rhymes all the time. Of course, still got plenty of blue sphere to get. I believe this is one of those ones where I just say screw it as far as getting 50 rings. Doesn't really matter at this point. And just move through these pseudo 3D special stages. Yeah, not really much else to say as far as the special stages are concerned. I mean, they're just kind of their usual special stage goodness. I'll go ahead and knock this part out, and it looks like that's gonna do it for the third special stage. And I will get the third Chaos Emerald. So moving along pretty smoothly. So far so good in my opinion anyway. And get back onto Hydrocity. And I am willing to guess that I don't get to Act 2 in this part based on how long this boss battle takes. Oh. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna... Oh. Probably gonna be here for a second. That's kind of how this goes sometimes. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Get shuffled around. Ooh, looks like I'm gonna run out of air. Oh man, I'm having PTSD over here. Freaking the drowning theme is my alarm in the mornings. I have it set on my phone, and every morning I wake up to that really violently and loudly, as loud as possible on my phone. That's gonna do it for Act 1. You're kidding. Do I actually get through Act 2 in this part? There's no way that's actually possible. Oh, I bet I know what happens. I think the way I edited this, I'll probably finish up Act 2 in the next part. Because I know that Act 2 of Hydrocity takes kind of a little while to get through. Which kind of ends up being my only real gripe about Sonic 3 and Knuckles is just how long some of these levels are. And how bloated the game tends to feel at times. Now that I've had plenty of time to come back, practice, and play this game, kind of see it for what it is. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not one of my all-time favorites. I would still rank it in my top 10, but it is not one of my personal, I gotta go back to this immediately. I would go back to Sonic 2 well before this. But with Sonic CD being my favorite classic Sonic game, I would go back to it before any of the other Sega Genesis games. I still need to get my hands on a Sega CD one of these days. I mean, the Sega Saturn console costed about as much as the Sega CD did when I bought it. See, the Sega CD would be about $250, $300 last time I checked. At the time of recording this, I'm actually kind of scared to see what it is now. Looks like I missed something? Yeah, I did, an extra life. Grab that life monitor. And yeah, that's most definitely what happens, folks. It looks like this will be split up as I'm running out of time in part 1 here. So it looks like whatever I've got to do next and the rest of Hydrocity Act 2 will be in that next part. Works for me, I guess. And I'm running out of time, so I'm kind of wondering when that's going to happen. Oh, okay. Anyways, folks, this is Fromark, and I will see you in part 2.